Hello, I'm Azai. Welcome back to Baldr Sky. The first dive, I guess? I'm probably gonna differentiate it by saying it's the first dive and then the second dive once we get to that point. But yeah, let me do my usual intro. If you guys don't know, I usually just talk about random stuff on the intro here for a couple of minutes and then do the last episode recap, which is just recapping what happened in the previous episode so that, we can have an easier time following what happened or what's going to happen in this current episode. But yeah, I am a gym rat, so I just came back from the gym and ate some food. The typical usual stuff. But yeah, everything has been going great at the gym and I am pretty much locked in at the gym. Everything's been going great. I also tested out the gamepad here. That's why you're not really seeing my mouse anymore, and it works. All I had to do was enable gamepad on the first boot. But yeah, let's talk about the last episode recap, shall we? On the last episode, we did chapter 1 and also a tiny bit of chapter 2. On chapter 1, we found out, or we got a dream about, waking up to some sort of typical rom-com situation. Well, we were dreaming, but we didn't really wake up from it, right? We didn't wake up and then go into a rom-com situation. Turns out we woke up into a battlefield. We are riding this thing, or we are controlling this thing called a simulacrum, which is a robot online thing that we're connected and diving into on the online network space. And we're destroying viruses. We met up with Rain, which is our second in command, I guess, our second lieutenant. And so far, she's our only lead to trying to figure out our memories. And yeah, the first chapter was basically just a tutorial fight. We were fighting lots of viruses. There was a support virus that was disabling the logout area, and we had to destroy that, and then we successfully logged out. Pretty simple stuff. And on the second chapter, a tiny bit, we kind of talked about our past, and we know that we're a mercenary. We used to be a high school student, but that was a couple of years ago. So this is probably maybe 5 years after the scene we saw at the beginning of the game when we were hearing about, the wake-up scene. And we kind of saw a tiny bit of the characters that we shouldn't be seeing yet. There's this Chinatsu girl, right? Because we saw it in the tutorial. And what happened after that? I think we talked about our dad being also a mercenary. And I believe that's about it. And then we left off going into cyberspace again by diving and going into the arena. Part of the enjoyment that I feel like when I play these games is finding out what's going on in the world, right? So how accessible are these internet battle things? Are they only for mercenaries and also soldiers? Or are they super widespread that even the common folk would be able to access them? I don't know yet. And because we don't know, I'm actually very interested in knowing and making theories about what's going on. The fact that there's even an arena means that people definitely go there quite often to train, right? So I guess we'll see. What I'm trying to say is that if this is really common, widespread in the world, then I don't know. I feel like this world is fucked. The viruses are also much more of a big deal than we first noticed. But okay, let's continue. And hopefully there's no more obstruction with the recording. Last time I believe it was because I was opening lots of tabs on Chrome, because that seems to be the error that I was getting, Chrome crash or something. So it might be the RAM. Early that afternoon, we set out into town, heading toward the clinic Rain mentioned last night. So am I supposed to be pressing A or B here? So B is the menu. A seems to be me, confirming. Okay, so A it is. Why does it sometimes, I was wondering why it was kind of progressing the text that quickly though. That's why I thought that maybe A was a skip function. I take a look around. Among the crowd, I spot several people decked out in uniforms of various designs. Apart from the soldiers, I also see sex workers, hoodlums, bums, and junkies of all ages and genders.
随分と環境のいい街なんだな。
アンチ AI の人々に言わせれば、ここは現代のソドムだそうですから。
Anti-AI people. That's actually pretty prevalent right now since it's like super booming with AI nowadays, with Nvidia trying to promote that shit.
アンチ AI か。AI をめぐる対立は今も続いているのか。
コウさんが学園生の頃よりも対立ははるかに激化しています。
Rain shoots a wary look up at the sky. Also, I forgot to mention that we chose to trust in Rain because for some weird reason she refuses to tell us directly about our past. But I did not want to anger her, that's why I chose the choice that is a bit more sensible. If we do make her mad, I feel like our only lead, it's basically not very smart to do, right? In this day and age, the internet has become the lifeblood of civilization, and it is governed by countless AI systems around the world, which construct and maintain our virtual reality. Unfortunately, there are more than a few people who hate the idea of mankind not holding the keys to its own society.
ここはエイリアニストとアンチ AI が対立する最前線。だからこそ私たちのような者たちが流れ込んでくる。
Sorry about that. I hit my mouse. Let me make that a bit more further away because I don't think I'll be using that too much since I'm using the gamepad.
エイリアニストなんだろう。その言葉を聞くと不快な気分になってくるよ。
Oh, give me a sec, guys. Someone's calling me? No one really calls me. What the heck? Not even my sister. Give me a second. And I'm back. Sorry about that. I don't know whether or not that was a spam call or not, but it was an unregistered number from my phone, so I basically just hung up and blocked the number. Yeah, I don't know what the heck is going on there. Maybe it's because I've been like giving away my numbers to like more banks nowadays that it might be like some sort of credit card thing too. Yeah, I don't really like care whether or not that's important. If they're important enough, they know my WhatsApp and they're probably gonna message me there instead of calling me directly on my, number. But okay, let's actually continue on, shall we?
私もです。セカンドジェネレーションでその言葉が心地よい者はいないと思います。
Okay, wow, this is very convenient. I can just use my, not D-pad, but my control, or what do you call this? The analog stick, and it gets me back to the backlog. I was trying to see what the heck the alienness means. So Shira is the very forefront. Okay, between the alienist and the anti-AI faction. So, are we an alienist? It might be the alienist. I guess we'll see what the term means. Oh, second gens out there who like that term. Yeah, I guess that is what they call alienists, or what they call us, who have their brain implanted with a microchip.
アンチ AI 流の AI 派の呼び方。彼らに言わせれば AI はエイリアン。それを支持する者はエイリアニスト。
Oh, really? I thought that was okay. They don't differentiate. They're basically pro AI. I thought it was specifically the people who had their brain implanted with microchips. I wonder if the battle I went through yesterday was also part of the conflict between the two factions. Oh, by the way, on the last episode, Black Ball Bouncer actually said that he didn't really have any trouble with the gameplay, and he probably played on normal because that was the default setting for the game. So I'm gonna stick to normal for now. If the game gets to a boss and it does feel a bit too easy, I might switch it to hard mode, but we will see. But so far, I think that's going to be the plan. I wonder if the battle I went through yesterday was also part of the conflict between the two factions.
いずれコウさんも実感されると思います。この街は、いえ、この時代は決して穏やかなものではありません。
そうみたいだな。
I mean, our era is probably not really all that peaceful too. It's just masqueraded. The sky above was the color of television from days gone by, tuned to a dead channel. Looking at the gloomy gray clouds makes me want to see a clear blue sky. I'm sure that'd make us all feel a little better. I mean, I'm not trying to take what we have for granted, guys. I know that, you know, the current era is nowhere near as crazy as when it was World War I or World War II, but I do think that it's not really the peace that, you know, people seem to make it out to be.
では行きましょうか。
We started walking down the city streets once again. We take a bunch of twists and turns and end up in a filthy back alley. Everywhere we go, the walls are covered in graffiti, and there's a sour stench emanating from the deserted street corners.
レイン、俺たちは病院へ向かっているんだよな。
もちろんです。しかし今の状況では正式な医療機関にはかかりませんから。
しかし、こんな界隈を根城にしているようなモグリの医者が頼りってわけか。
I mean, probably that's what we're gonna do.
モグリの医者ですが、腕前は抜群の先生ですよ。ネットに記録を残さず診療してくれますし。
So she's... What does the procedure... Huh. So does everything we do connect to the internet? This is kind of weirding me out. Why would there be any records on the internet?
プレストオプニックにはありがたい先生なわけだ。
Pre-stoopniks? Okay, that is a word I don't understand. What the heck does that mean? Being reassured of her skills does nothing to ease my concerns about letting some fishy doc mess with my head.
ご心配なく。腕に定評があるからこそ、こんな場所に引きこもっていられるのです。
引きこもるにしても場所を選べばいいのに。で、その先生とやらはどんなやつなんだ？
通称ドクターノイ。私も会ったことはありませんけど、医療費は高額ですが、どんな手術でもしてくれるとか。
I believe Noi is that character there that we see in this, you know, the bottom left one character. I believe we got spoiled on that when I was going through the plugins and tutorials.
違法な擬態移植とか不正なクローニング処置でもか？
それもこれも試し代との噂です。
So there's also cloning in this game, okay. I guess we need to understand just how big the scale of the game is when it comes to the sci-fi stuff. So if I know what the range that what the world ranges is, I can make, you know, even better speculation is what I'm trying to say.
やることはやばそうだが、アンダーグラウンドの名医には違いないみたいだな。そんな人がどうしてこんな貧民窟にいるんだろう。
ここは闇医療のメッカです。規制の緩いこの都市にはエッジ企業が世界中から集まってきています。
その最先端を求めてうさんくさい奴らも同時に集まってくると。
この町では何でも手に入りますから。バイオ、ナノ、AI、果てはクローニング。
Rain suddenly comes to a halt and starts looking around.
どうしたんだ？
ええ、ナビゲーションによればこの辺りのはずなんですけど。
So you've never been here either? I thought that the reason why she was doing the twist and turns thing was to try to make it, you know when people do that when they try to get rid of pursuers or stalkers, I guess. Puzzled, she surveys the street and then,
ありました。
a somewhat baffled tone, I follow her gaze and find an obnoxiously decorated show window. Displayed in it are an array of enamel bustiers. Okay, enamel bustiers. I guess it's those mannequin things. Bondage goods with chains, dildos, and leather whips.
どう見てもアダルトショップなんだけど。
ええ、ここで間違いはないはずですけど。誰だい君たちは。
Upon hearing a lispy voice, I turn around to find a young girl dressed in black, staring warily at us. Her frilly dress is so out of place on these filthy streets, it's kinda hard to look at.
君は？
質問に質問を返さないでくれたまえ。君たちは一体どこに所属している傭兵なのかね？
How does she know we're part of the mercenary? The way she talks doesn't suit her age at all. Or is that what they call like cliques in this world? Is everyone part of a mercenary group? She has a cute little face, but look in her eyes is the furthest thing from childlike. She might be going through some tough times. I start feeling sorry for her when I think about her life in the slums.
さ、ちょっと尋ねたいことがあるんだけど、いいかな?
I feel like this Ko guy is way too empathetic towards people. Like, is that really the thing that you think about when you see this girl in the slums? Sure, she's living in the slums, but she's dressed pretty nicely. She doesn't look like a hobo. I take out some change and offer it to her.
なんだそれは。そんなはした金で何をしようというのだ?
But she ignores it and glares at me.
ごめん、足りなかったかな。もうちょっとお小遣いあげようか。話を聞いてくれたらだけど。ドクターノイって人を探しているんだ。何か知らないかな？
私だ。
え？
私がノイだ。市民番号 F12A699B 公開データベースを調べてみろ。
I'm guessing that's like our not license. What do you call it? Like our social security number, I guess. In the US, I guess. In like Indonesia, it's like our KTP. What do you call that in English? It's like a residence card, right?
調べろって言われても。
I don't think it's publicly accessible though in the current world, since it's not like that, right? Only the government probably knows it, or people that are close to us that knows our ID. But yeah, since everything is connected to the internet in this world, it's kind of easy to just find shit like this, huh? As my thought process grinds to a halt, a whole bunch of text starts scrolling in front of my eyes. What did I say? Why did I want to say strolling? So is this because of the microchip built inside of our brain that we can see these augmentations? Looks like Rain sent me Dr. Noi's data. I scanned through the text and...
君、俺より年上なのか?
It's too small for me to see. You can't really see it.
初対面の奴らの反応とくればいつもこれだ。
Oh, that's it? That was very short for how long that text is. The absurdity of it all leaves me scratching my head. I mean, okay, maybe I was in the wrong here.
失礼しました、ドクターノイ。実はあなたにお願いしたいことがありまして。
Rain barges into the conversation right on time.
私は正規の医者じゃない。だからドクターは結構だ。申し訳ないが、一元の客はお断りしているんだ。それに、外見で人を判断する輩は嫌いだ。
いえ、別にそんなつもりじゃ。
第一、金は払えるのかね？言っておくが、診察料は高いぞ。
ノイさん、注意、門倉公の名前を傭兵斡旋協会のデータベースで調べてみてくださいませんか？
Why couldn't we just take a look at our own name, in that database? That would basically show us what the history that we've been doing is, right?
門倉だと。
After shooting Rain a glance, Noe's eyes start darting around the place.
なるほどね。
It's like she's reading something in midair, probably data pertaining to me.
そうか。確かに君なら取りっぱぐれはなさそうだな。
I guess I'm loaded.
面白いな。気に入ったよ。入りたまえ。
Noe gives me a slap on my back and walks into her distasteful shop. I wonder what exactly she found amusing.
なあ、レイン。俺のデータベース、何か愉快なことが書いてあるのか？そうは思えないんだけど。
Why can't we just search it up?
診察が終わってからにしませんか？先生が中で待っていらっしゃいますから。
She's clearly hiding something from us. Rain grabs my arm and drags me inside. I don't really trust this chick, but...
医療施設の割には随分と風変わりなインテリアですね。
I guess my choice to trust this chick means that Ko is gonna blindly trust her, unlike my own self.
趣味と実益。一応はカモフラージュが目的ということにしておこうか。さあ、 こっちに来たまえ。
In the back of what seemed to be an antique adult goods store is a modern clinic.
で、処置してほしいのは何かね。彼女連れということは、やはりあちら方面か？
What would why would I want to be like going to a clinic with my girlfriend? What is this gonna be like some weird abortion procedure? You don't seem the type to be a surgeon. You're probably a neurosurgeon.
いや、俺とレインはそんな関係じゃなくて。
ならば擬態化がお望みかね。ちょうど今ならバイオの掘り出し物があるのだが。
So there are androids in this world, yeah. So pretty easy to know by them mentioning biotech. With a twisted smile, she points at a water tank and saw at the back of the room. Wriggling about in it is a soft phallic creature.
今流行のギミックだよ。
So it's like, you know, an implanted dick, I guess, if mine is too small.
こんなものを移植するのが流行っているのか？
ああ、どんなにツンと済ました女性でもこれにかかれば可愛い声で泣くこと受け合いだ。
Noi gives me a suggestive smile, and I end up looking in Rain's direction.
先生、真面目にやっていただけますか？
分かっている。ちょっと彼をからかっただけだ。で、要件は？
彼のブレインチップの修復措置です。引き受けてくれますね。
Thank you for bringing the conversation directly into, you know, the main topic, Rain.
頭がいかれたのか。
I do feel like my
しかしそれ
characteristic.
ならまっとうな病院へ行けばどうかね。ここでの治療には保険が効かないぞ。
Sorry about that, Noi. Like, I'm trying to say, like, I do think that I'm the type of person that would kind of steer the conversation along in the direction that it's supposed to go to. Just like what Rain does here. Rain doesn't respond.
どうも訳ありのようだな。いいだろう。言い訳は後で聞く。そこにかけたまえ。早速診察を始めようか。
Our dad must be really popular or something for her to suddenly take us in. Noi makes me sit in a medical console and plugs in a neurojack. After examining me for a while, she finally opens her mouth.
先生、注意の具合は？
すごいな、これは。脳内チップの安全装置に救われたな。論理爆弾かブラックアイスか手段はわからんが。
Logic bomb, black ice, or what? Is that one of the big, developers of the chips here? You know, the distributors of those chips?
とにかく仮想で過負荷を受けて本当。おかげで脳細胞の身代わりに脳内チップが破損したというところか？
はい、ロジックボムです。我々の部隊は私と彼を除いて全
Oh,
滅しました。
okay. It was the terrorist thing that we were doing. She actually figured out the cause with just a cursory look. I guess her skills are the real deal. As I sit there impressed, Noi starts smacking me on the back again.
君は運がいい。チップの特性が違っていたら君はフラットライン確定だったな。
そんなに損傷がひどいんですか？俺の頭。
ああ、ブレインチップは反壊している。しかし脳細胞はおかげで無事だったようだ。
Why is... See, this is really making me question why Rain is unaffected. We were in the same squad. We were subjected to the same situation. Her chip should also be the same as mine. And yet, hers is not damaged at all. Everyone else was a mercenary, so it was kind of understandable that their chips might be of a lesser quality than ours. But Rain's... Is hers better than ours? Guess we'll see. She projects some images on the wall monitor. Sadly, I have no idea what any of it means.
君のチップは安全装置付きなんだ。脳にかかるべき負担をチップの安全装置が受け止め、君を守った。
それでチップは反壊し、そのショックで記憶障害が発生したと。
Hearing all this sends chills down my spine. Brain chips are more or less integrated with the brain. If mine was destroyed, I doubt my brain escaped completely unscathed.
じゃあ 俺の記憶が消えてしまったんですか？
いや、そうでもないが、どう例えればわかりやすいかな。
Noi folds her arms and tries to carefully choose her words for me.
言ってみれば、分厚い辞典の作品が消えてしまった状態だ。わかるか？辞典の中身はあるが、今の君は必要なページを探すことができない。
Yeah, I get it.
古風な言い方をすると、ネットのリンク切れ？
そうだな。
The information would be somewhere out there, but the links would lead to 404s.
つまり記憶そのものはアクセスできないけど無事なんですね。
多分な。
That's a bit of a relief. Now, the question is how to access those memories.
先生、治りますよね、これ。
君は技術の進歩に感謝すべきだ。かつて脳内チップの修復には外科手術と長期のリハビリが必要だった。今はこいつが短期間で蹴りをつけてくれる。
Saying that, she picks up a jet syringe and loads it with some suspicious capsule.
何ですかそれ？
医療用ナノマシン。
Nanomachines, of course.
君のチップと脳細胞を修復し、記憶素行処置を実現する。
Once nanomachines are part of the equation, that's when, some stories actually do a lot of Deus Ex Machina bullshit. But I guess we'll see just how far they're gonna do it with this game. They did it very well, though, in 13 Sentinels, in my opinion. That is a game that I think I will probably rave about quite a lot in terms of the sci-fi genre. I really love that. That's probably a 10 out of 10 for me.
ナノマシンで記憶障害を治せるんですか？
先月千葉シティから届いたエッジテクだ。ちょうど誰かに試してみたかったところだよ。
ちょっと待った！試してみたかったって！
大丈夫。正式な認可を受けていないだけで人体実験。もとい、臨床試験は済んでいる。
おいおい、そんな！
Before I can voice my objections, the syringe is stuck in my neck, and I hear it emptying its contents into me. That makes me sink into the console.
注入完了。すぐに効果が現れるはずだ。
気分はいかがですか？
別に。いや、ちょっと頭がほてってきたような。
My head burns up the very next moment, and my eyes lose focus, almost like I'm drunk out of my wits. Countless nanomachines must be running around in my brain right now. Just thinking about it makes me sick.
19世紀半ばまではいい医者の条件とは足を1秒でも早く切り落とすことだった。当時はまだ麻酔が存在しなかったからな。
I mean, with the progress of medical stuff, Noah, you don't really need to do that anymore. Noi's voice feels strangely distant. Something akin to sleepiness takes over my mind.
その後麻酔の登場で安全に患部を切り開くことが可能になった。そしてナノマシンの登場で患部を切り開かずとも選択的に細胞を修復したり破壊することが可能になった。
So aren't these nanomachines like super dangerous?
手術無用なのはありがたいけど、やっぱりなんか気味が悪いな。
Rain holds my hand tight. Her touch makes me let out a sigh.
リラックスしたまえ。さあ、ダイブをするときのように落ち着いて。
Even as I listen to her, my consciousness begins to fade away. Those tiny insects are messing with my brain cells.
君はこれからセンスフォローを見るように自分の記憶を追体験することになる。さあ、目を閉じて。君はナノに導かれ、自分の記憶にダイブするんだ。
I do as I'm told and close my eyes, but I can still feel something bright closing in on me.
グーテライズ。
What does that mean? And so, my world is engulfed in light. I think I said something about the main character having to recall his missing memories without a flashback, and that kind of bothers me. But I guess they're gonna address that right here. It's the beginning of spring. A gentle breeze caresses my cheek. For the first time in a while, sunshine peeks through the thick clouds above, shining light upon the surrounding scenery.
青い空舞う桜の花びらか。出来すぎな春の光景だな。
Man, what a relaxing sight. Gazing at it helps me take my mind off the crisis I find myself in, if only momentarily.
おいこう、何ほうけたこと言ってんだよ。そんな場合じゃないだろ。
I know, my bro in woe, my partner in disaster. You don't have to tell me that. But you know, what's wrong with a little escape from reality? Masa Sudo, the guy walking next to me, and the one who spoke up as I stared blankly at the sky. I mean, sometimes it's okay to escape from your troubles, but if it's a big trouble, or if you do that a bit too much, I think you're just running away from reality, and you might end up trying to get into drugs or some bullshit. So be careful. He and I are freshman virtual engineering students at Seishu Academy. Well, not that we'll be in our first year for much longer. And under normal circumstances, we'd be all excited about the upcoming spring break. Alas, these are not normal circumstances.
しかし、いきなり荷物をまとめて出ていけだもんな。
We look at each other and sigh.
たく、いきなり配慮なんてありかよ。
仕方ないだろ。住んでるやつの半分が不正アクセスの現行犯で捕まったんだから。
That's right. With spring break right around the corner, we're stuck having to find ourselves a new dorm.
寮の先輩たち、無茶しすぎだよ。
まったくだよな。卒業記念に軍のデータベース施設へ落書きなんていい度胸にも程がある。
Seishu Academy was established under the motto of... The motto? Motto? I think it's motto, right? Of harmony between humanity and AI, and most of its students are second gens. First gens can only connect to the online world through consoles. On the other hand, second gens are always connected. We have more or less no need for any outside equipment. And we're way more equipped to deal with the demands of AI and the internet. As a result, hacking and the like has become an everyday occurrence. Every now and then, some people take it too far and get caught. As luck would have it, that led to the closure of our dorm this time.
今頃、先輩たちはどうしてるのかな。
It's kind of like also like inscribing a SIM card into your brain. That's so weird.
よくぞ我が軍のアイスを突破したとか褒めたたえられて、そのまま釈放、軍にスカウトってわけにはいかないかな。
I mean, the leader would probably be scouted. The others probably not so much.
漫画やゲームじゃあるまいし、軍人さんにジョークは通じないよ。
そういや、お前の親父も軍人さんだったよな。
傭兵だよ。もう 1,2 年は会っていないけどな。
ごめん、悪い。親父さんの話は禁句だったな。
My dad, Eiji Katakura, is a complete war dog who leads his own mercenary squad. I hear he's pulled off tons of spectacular feats in battle, but that's nothing to be proud of. In the end, he's nothing but a money-grubbing warmonger. He didn't come back even when my mom was dying. He must love the sight of blood more than he does his wife and son.
あと1年早く入学していたら、俺たちも先輩たちと一緒に趣味クラブに乗れたのにな。
で、逮捕されたかったのか？
バカ言え、不正アクセスをするつもりはないさ。俺はただ趣味クラブに乗ってみたかっただけだ。ロボットの腕で交渉に落書きなんて夢があるじゃないかなあ。
そうだな。そいつは同感だ。
Masa and I have something in common, our love of simulacrums. Just the thought of running around a virtual world in a huge metal body gets our pulses racing.
欲しいよな、趣味クラブ。
What's the meaning of having these simulacrums? Why can't we just have a normal-looking avatar? I feel like these simulacrums were invented just for warfare in the first place. I guess we'll see. Or maybe it's just the fact that the game really loves robots or something. For generations upon generations, young boys have dreamed of piloting giant robots. And our generation is lucky enough to have the chance to actually do it, if only virtually. I don't really care about piloting giant robots, to be completely honest. The only issue being that a simulacrum is way outside a student's price range. Something hits the top of my head out of nowhere. When I open my eyes again, I see what that something was. There's a white soccer ball bouncing in front of me.
大丈夫？
A girl runs up to us from the field to the left of the path we're walking from.
ああ大丈夫、平気平気。
なんでお前が返事すんだよ。
いいから細かいこと気にすんなよ。ほらボールを投げ返してやれ。
ちゃ
These girls are very lanky. Is that a word? That's the first thing that comes to mind for some reason. Like, they're very tiny. I guess not just the girls, the guys too. If you look at their arms, there's like barely anything. Like, holy shit, these guys are super thin. They're like anorexic. I pick up the ball and throw it back at the girl.
ほんとごめんね。
Maybe back then this sort of art style was more popular. I don't know. I feel like this is way too thin though. And I'm someone who exercise a lot and like fit girls. This is way too thin. With a smile, she takes the ball and runs back to the field.
こう可愛かったよな今の子。
ああ、それも同感しとくか。
Masai and I stop in our tracks and stare at the girl.
もう一つの少年の憧れだよな。
As she chases after the ball, every step she takes is accompanied by the bouncing of two other balls on her chest. Really? Her legs look slender yet sturdy. I guess that's what it means to have legs like a thoroughbred? Thoroughbred? What? What does that mean? I know that bred means, you know, like having genetics, but what does thoroughbred means? Like someone who has good genetics? Suddenly, I have a dizzy spell, and it feels like everything around me goes dark for a second. Is it because I got hit by that ball? I feel someone staring at my back. I find its source standing up under a cherry blossom tree to the right of the path. A girl? No, a young woman. Who is that? Is it just me, or is she not taking her eyes off me? I squint, but she's too far away to get a clear look at her. She's too far away to get a clear look at her face. But for some reason, I get the feeling I know her. That I've met her before.
惜しいよな。あんな可愛い子が誰にも裸を見せないままスポーツで時間を浪費して置いていくなんて。
What the fuck is this guy talking about? That's very sexist. Masa's voice brings me back to reality, and I see he's still staring at the girl from before.
なんだ、またいつものか？やめとけよ。あんな子なら彼氏の一人や二人いるだろうさ。
I feel like even though we're in a flashback right here, there might be some choices that we could do or something in this flashback that would change the present. For some reason, I don't know. I feel like this game has time travel for some reason. But I guess we'll see.
そんなだからお前はいつまで経っても彼女の一人もできないんだよ。
一人持って彼女は二人も三人も作るもんじゃない。
Huh.
どうした？
ああ、いや、なんでもない。
まあいいや。それより俺の勘じゃあの子は男と付き合ったことすらない。
Masa's not blinking as he stares at the girl on the field. I bet he's taking a screenshot.
お前の勘って当てにならないからな。ほら、いつだっけ？相手が男と気づかずに付き合おうとしてたよな。
I guess traps were already a big thing back then. I mean, 2009, it was already like a big anime era for Japan. I mean, even in the 90s, anime was already like very popular, right? I don't know when traps became a thing though.
それはいい加減忘れろよ。俺ももう忘れたい過去なんだからさ。
And yeah, I guess everyone has photographic memory because we have a chip in our brain. Masa looks away awkwardly. He's a cheery guy with a big mouth and an insatiable love for girls. A whole year has passed since he promised to hook me up with someone, but he hasn't even found himself one yet.
しかしリアルでスポーツとは健全だな。なんか大会でもあったっけ？
さあな、そっちにはあまり興味はないからな。
興味があるのは仮想の方だけか。そういや、そろそろだよな。なんつったっけ、今年の大会名。
I mean, I feel like sports are going to be very important. If you, I feel like if VR is gonna be like the new rage, like, I don't know, maybe in like 15 years or 20 years, most people would probably not really take care of their bodies as much anymore. Maybe not necessarily Japanese people because they're very strict, but I feel like everyone else in the world would have like very bad like hygienes and shit. They're gonna be connected to the internet like 24/7.
アリーナも新人戦か？ニュービーズインパクトだろ？
それそれ、楽しみだよな。今年はどんなやつが出てくるか。
どうせなら自分が出場したいところだけどな。
そりゃそうだけど、趣味クラムどころか今の俺たちには住むところさえないんだぜ。
I guess you need to have simulacrums to like browse the internet like you know like having your own avatar. I guess you can't just access it without one. Saying that, Masa looks up at the blue sky.
ところで、例の新しい寮、この道でいいのかよ。
そのはずなんだけどな。
As I respond to him, I open up the email I got from my second cousin.
寮潰れるんだってね。
This is my second cousin.
うちに来たら部屋空いてるし。
久しぶりのメールがこれだけとは相変わらずというか。
That's the message I got from Aki, my second cousin, earlier this morning. I have no idea where or how she heard about my dorm though.
それにしても、このいとこさんって美人だな。
Those are Masa's first words once he takes a look at the email I forwarded to him.
何度言わせる？いとこじゃなくてはとこだ。
What's the difference? What's a hitoko and hatoko? Is it first cousin and second cousin? I had a rather complicated upbringing, to say the least. And while she may only be my second cousin, Aki happens to be the blood relative I most get along with.
まあ顔立ちは悪くないな。
After my mother passed, I was taken in by some relatives of mine. That was when I first met her. Even as a child, Aki was really pretty. My initial impression of her was that she was pretty like a doll, and that sight has been permanently etched into my memories.
私は青州学園に推薦入学してみせる。
I mean, considering how we're kinda taking, we're explaining a lot of details about her, she's probably a heroine.
それで嫌な人たちに頼らず自分の夢を叶えてみせる。
How old are you? Why are you suddenly talking about this?
こうも一緒に来ればいい。それで私
Oh,
は
sorry about that.
こうの夢を笑ったりしない。
Sometimes the dialogue has that when I thought that I've already read everything. There's an extra line. Become a hero there.
正義の味方か。
A wry smile escapes me when I remember that. Back when I was a child, I seriously wanted to be a simulacrum riding hero. Actually, I'd be lying if I said I still didn't want to be one. I mean, it's not like I want to be a comic book superhero or anything. I just want to be a pilot who does the right thing. For me, wanting to be a hero symbolizes my vow not to end up like my old man.
しかし、さすがハトコだよな。この落書きみたいな地図がわかるとは。
I mean, I guess I can understand his reasoning, like Ko's reasoning about his dislike for his dad. I also dislike my dad, so whatever he's doing is actually a good indication of what I don't want to do, right? He's probably having a similar mindset to his dad. But I don't necessarily think just because your dad is doing, like, that means that you have to be the complete opposite of him. Like, you might not necessarily like it being a hero of justice. That's what he said. Seki no Mikata, right? Masa's voice interrupts my thoughts.
それなんだわ。
That's the map she gave me?
何？迷った？
すまん。
Aki's email only came with a hastily scribbled map attached. No address or anything. I've been running searches on the internet for a while now, but I can't figure anything out. Sure, I may be a second gen, and the internet may be my second home, but I can't do anything when this is all the information I have. Why not just search up, like dormitories in X areas? and then you can just go like one by one on all of the dormitories. I feel like this guy, even with all of this access on the internet, he's a lot dumber than he lets on.
ちょっと待てよ。俺はお前が分かってるもんだとばかり。
There can't be like a lot of dormitories in this place. We sit down in the grass beside the path and try to find our way by comparing Aki's map to the one we found online. God, how analog. And Aki's no better. She really should have sent us an actual map with addresses and street names on it instead of drawing this thing.
だからこっちがこの道だろ。じゃあこの路地みたいなのは何なんだ？
Give me a sec. Is my mouse like charging here? I'm charging my mouse, but it's been like kind of annoying charging it. Because I'm using like this Razer mouse thing and it's wireless and you kind of charge it on a wireless pad. But this thing kind of sucks, so I might as well just charge it directly, I guess. Yeah, I guess this thing sucks dick. I guess I'm gonna charge it directly for now. There we go. Okay, back.
なあ、この目玉の飛び出た芋虫は何かの目印か？
ダメだ。さっぱりわからん。
We look at each other dumbfounded.
なんでメールで手書きの地図なんだよ。
Knowing Aki, I bet she'd say anything important ought to be written by hand and with care. Sadly, her hands aren't good at using anything other than a keyboard and mouse. This is basically a mind map. You know, the kind 3-year-olds draw from memory.
参ったな。秋ねコールにも出てくれないし。
何か困りごとかね？見たところ道に迷っているようだが。
This guy's voice is very familiar. Must be a very old voice actor that I know of.
え？ありがとうございました。おかげで助かりました。ところで、ここをご存知なんですか？
His like head is so small.
ああ、私も在学中この寮で世話になっていてね。
そうだったんですか。じゃあ、OB、俺たちの。
Oh, sorry about that.
本当にここなのか？
多分、前に秋音に聞いた話には合ってる。
There's a 2-story building in front of us. The wooden sign up front says Kisaragi Dorm. Its aesthetic is so 21st century. I wouldn't be surprised if it had traveled through time to get here. So what year are we at right now? They don't tell you. Yeah, they don't tell you. I mean, it's telling my time or my year. Let's now. As you can see, this is 2025. But yeah, once this is up on YouTube, it's gonna be like 2026, guys.
だったら間違いないか。今時こんなレトロな建物、そうそうないからな。しかし、築何年なんだ？まさか全盛期から建っているんじゃねえよな。
木造建築がそんなに持つもんか。というより。
I lightly knocked on a nearby pillar. As I expected, it sounds like reinforced plastic.
ほらな、レプリカだ。
そりゃそうか。本当に木造だとしたら贅沢品だもんな。今時天然素材の建物なんて。
I see.
ああ、しかしなんとも趣味的な建物だな。
ここを初めて訪れる人は大抵そういう反応をするよ。
でもよくあの地図でここだってわかりましたね。
I want to take a look at this guy's voice actor, but I'm kind of afraid of spoiling myself with all of the characters that we're gonna meet. So I'm gonna refrain for now. But I feel like this guy is so familiar, this guy's voice.
あれにも見覚えがあるからね。
え？
じゃあちょっと用事があるので私はこれで失礼するよ。
What did he say he's familiar with? That the map was pointing here. Well, I'm familiar with that too. I guess he knows Aki.
はい、ありがとうございました。
The man lightly raises his right hand. He then turns around and walks away. What do you mean he was familiar with that? Not the map Aki drew, surely.
よし、じゃあ早速入ってみようぜ。
ああ。
We stand in front of the building's main entrance.
おい、動かないぞ、この扉。
手動式かよ。お邪魔します。
Unsurprisingly, we found an old school entrance and hallway on the other side of the door. Looks pretty tidy, surprisingly. And the moment we open the door, an appetizing aroma tickles my nose.
なんか味噌汁の匂いがしないか？
なんだ、妙にきつい匂いだよな。
I take a few sniffs and try to figure out where it's coming from. There's no doubt about it. It's coming from within the dorm. Whatever it is really makes the mouth water, but it also seems just as likely to make the heart burn. Could it be?
はとこさんが料理しているのか？
Really? Like, miso soup is not gonna give you heartburn, guys. That's if you eat like lots of fat, right? Fat and fried foods.
いや、絶対にそれはありえない。それに秋音はニラやニンニクの類が苦手だ。
Yeah, this is the smell of chives. It brings to mind a childhood memory.
心配しないで。こうのご飯はお母さんの代わりに私が作ってあげるから。
Are all of the like, you know, people we met from our memories like back when we were young gonna be girls?
ダメだ
Where
よ。
are the guys?
好き嫌いしちゃう。これって体にいいんだから。
あいつがここに？
I mean, this game's an eroge for a reason. But you know, I'm one of those guys that actually think that just because this is a hentai game or an eroge, like, there needs to be like a bro, right? I don't know if Masa's gonna be a bro, but I guess we'll see. I take my shoes off in a hurry and run past the entrance.
おい、こう。
I hear the girl's voice from a room midway through the hallway. Lured by that voice, I head toward the room. The room turns out to be the kitchen, and standing in it is a girl. As she hums a tune, her short hair sways along with it.
嘘。どうして醤油すら置いてないの？はあ、後で買ってこなくちゃ。
Feeling like I've traveled back in time, I end up staring at the girl's bag.
ああ、もう仕方がないな。後で冷蔵庫も掃除しなきゃ。
菜の葉だよな。
I finally muster up the courage to talk to the girl, and she freezes at the sound of my voice. Wow, she's tiny. She then slowly turns around, and I see she still looks the same as she used to. It's her, my childhood friend, Nanoha Wakakusa.
こうだよね。
You sure we're the same age? She looks very small.
ああ。
My heart starts racing before I know it. I'd given up on ever meeting her again. Nanoha doesn't say a word. She just stares at me with her lips trembling. Yeah, see, this is one of those things where I'm like, it's really weird. We have all of this internet access on everything, and yet we can't find someone that we clearly know from a couple of years ago. I feel like it's a plot hole, don't you guys think? It should be very easy to track where people are if we have a lot of those information out on the net.
元気してた？
I guess we'll see. This is a flashback after all, so maybe the net is not as advanced as it is in the present timeline.
お前こそ。
By the time I realize what a bad sign that is, it's already too late. Nanoha starts running toward me. A bit of an exaggerated, you know, situation, I'd say. And with her shoulders trembling, clings to my chest and starts bawling.
泣くな。ちょっとそりゃ大げさすぎるだろう。
I embrace her without thinking, but I'm not really sure how to react considering my conflicting feelings of embarrassment and nostalgia. Still, I realize just how much Nanoha has grown in the time we spent apart.
ちゃんとご飯食べてる？洗濯物ちゃんと洗ってる？
ああ。まったく。お前は俺のおふくろかよ。
I blurt that out without thinking and immediately regret it. Who is she? The first close friend I ever made in my life, that's who.
おい、こう。うわっ。
ああ、マサ。この子は俺の幼馴染で。おい、泣くのはやめて自己紹介よ。
No sooner do I say that than the pot on the stove boils over.
うわー、菜の葉鍋吹きこぼれてるって。
She rushes towards the stove. Meanwhile, my eye catches the massive pile of one particular green vegetable floating in the soup inside the pot.
お前、やっぱりこの匂いはニラだったんだな。しかもこんな山盛り。
ああ、まだ変色治ってないんだ。ニラは体にいいから食べなきゃダメだよ。
バカ、俺がニラ嫌いになったのは誰のおかげだと思ってんだよ。
I mean, an excessive amount of everything is not very good for you. Chives are nice, but I don't really think I would enjoy, you know, like a dish full of chives as the only vegetables.
栄養価が高くてお腹に優しいんだよ。
仲いいな。
Masa watches over us warmly as we argue. I'm surprised he didn't comment about, you know, about us knowing about a beautiful girl or
なんでお
whatever.
前がここにいるんだ？アキネは？
ああ、それがその。
Nanoha tries to say something, but she's interrupted by a moaning voice from further inside the dorm.
アキネ？
あ、言っちゃダメ。ゴー。
Is she like whooping? Puking? Nanoha's acting kind of strange.
こう。ああ。
Masa and I run toward the living room in the back.
なんだこれ。強盗でも入ったのか？
No, she probably just lives like this. I mean, I'm a pretty, you know, like my room is also a mess, but I try to make it not having, like, garbage, at least. But a lot of my stuff are everywhere for the most part. But I don't have garbage. I have a trash can for a reason, guys. The room we step into looks like it's been turned upside down, and lying collapsed in that mess is a girl.
アキネ！
I grab and shake her wildly, which makes her open her eyes in pain.
どうしたの？アキネ！ほら、しっかりして！ああ、そうだ。待ってて、今人を呼ぶから。おい、菜の葉！
お願い。
She probably just drank. I think that's a can of beer. She reaches for me with a pained look on her face. I grab her hand and hold it tight to reassure her.
腹ペコ。食べ物。無事生還。
This is a very weird angle to see her. Why can't you just sit down normally? Why do you have to lay down in a pile of trash? After wolfing down the food Nanoha cooked, Aki crumbles down to the floor once more.
一応事情を説明してくれる？
ネットに潜りすぎた。リアルに戻ってきたら空腹でダウン。
I mean, I'm surprised that it's not like Sword Art Online where you have an IV just injecting you with food and nutrients, you know? She warily lifts her head and looks at me.
だから待ってた。一日先週の思い出。
I want to ask her if I was summoned here as a rescue squad, but I hold it in. I haven't seen her in ages, but she hasn't changed one bit. Same old Aki. Actually, her laziness might have gotten even worse, to be fair.
だからダメだって言ったのに。
いや、あんな言い方されたら何があったのかと驚くだろう普通。
そうかな。あ、私お茶入れてくるね。
Saying that, Nanoha returns to the kitchen.
こう？そろそろ俺も紹介してくれない？
ああ、悪い悪い。こいつは俺の友達で須藤正。で、この人が例の俺のハトコで。
西野秋。よろしく。
Aki takes Masa's hand, shakes it thrice, and lets go. Her voice is also very familiar.
で、秋ね、空き部屋の件なんだけど。
どの部屋も今は空き部屋。好きな部屋を選んで住んで。
そんな適当な。
Who's the dorm leader? You know, the dorm mother.
消化器官が活性化。睡魔が増大。
She doesn't even finish before crumbling to the floor.
もしもし。
行こう。こうなったらなかなか起きてこないから。
Aki quickly falls fast asleep, and I drag Masa out of the living room. This is the living room? It's not her room? I guess that's a living space for us that we share? A communal living room? Once in the hallway, I realize that it's already mid-afternoon.
ずいぶんユニークな姉ちゃんだな。
学籍番号 241A98200。
え？
いいから学生名簿を調べてみろ。今度は別の意味で驚くから。
ああ。マジかよ。
Masa closes his eyes. He's probably running a search. When his eyes open again, they open wide. Yeah, everyone who looks up Aki reacts this way.
AFA の最年少正会員だって？なんだあの人、超エリートなのか？
AI Fraternal Association? What does that imply?
ああ見えても、アキネはウィザードなんだよ。
Okay.
学生のくせにエッジ企業の仮想関係の業務を手伝ったりしてるくらいさ。まあ親戚の会社ではあるんだけどな。
そりゃすげえ。いわゆる電脳の魔女ってやつだな。
まあそうかな。天才だと思うよ、身内から見ても。
しかし初めて来た寮でお前の知ってる顔が2つもあるなんてな。
ああ、菜の葉は俺もびっくりしたよ。
菜の葉ちゃんと話してきたらどうだ？あの子と会うのも久しぶりなんだろ？俺はとりあえず部屋を選んでるからさ。
そうだな。じゃあそうするよ。しかし本当に久しぶりだよな。もう何年になるんだ一体。
私が南八坂を越した時以来だもんね。
Back when we were kids, we were neighbors in a town called Minamiyasaka. It's so hard to say, and I'm usually used to Japanese, words. Minamiyasaka. I had to move out first, and Nanoha left not long after that. The last time I saw her was before Aki left to join Seishu, so it's been over 5 years.
大きくなったよね、こう。
Nanoha fondly smiles at me, and I realize she's grown into a girl that can make any guy's heart skip a beat. Well, most of her has.
お前こそ大きくなりやがって。おじさんやおばさんは元気にしてるか？
I guess he's talking about her chest.
まあね。
What, are they dead? If I recall correctly, Nanoha's parents were really famous scholars in the world of bioengineering, and they specialize in nanotechnology. Back when my mom was still alive, they lived right next to us. I had a sick mother and a father who couldn't come home. The only bright spot in my lonely childhood was how nice Nanoha's family was to me. Thinking about those days out in the country makes my heart fill with the warmth even now.
でもそうだよ。そもそもどうして菜の葉がここにいるんだ？
偶然だったんだけど、寮の下見に来たんだ。そしたらアキさんからもうすぐこうが来るって聞いて。
You know, I feel like in these anime settings, like, the character usually has the... I always feel, I wouldn't say envious, but it's so unrealistic that when he's like a lonely person and then there's like this childhood friend, I wonder if that happens in the real world. It's not like I don't understand that like at all. And I think that most people that play this game also doesn't understand having a childhood friend like this. And I guess this is why we put this in the game, because that's probably going to realize our... What's the word? Like, hidden wish, or... Yeah. Maybe, I don't know.
寮の下見ってまさかうちを受験したのか？
こう、ひょっとして約束忘れてる？大きくなったら青春で再会するって。
いや。
Okay. I remember all too well. I was just trying not to think about it. Because I wouldn't have been surprised if she'd forgotten all about a promise made years ago.
よろしくね、こう。私もこの春からここの寮生。こうの後輩だよ。
Okay, so I'm probably a year or two older than her. Oh, if she comes to this dorm, we can hang out again, just like we used to.
それで学科はどこなんだ？仮想工学科ではないよな。
What is the V like supposed to be again? I know the E is engineering.
ゴーは仮想工学科なんだよね。同じ学科っていうのも良かったんだけど、やっぱりお父さんたちの仕事に関係のあることを学びたくて。
Okay.
ってまさかナノ工学科か？すごいじゃないか。
そんなにすごいかな。
当たり前だろ。それってうちの最高峰クラスの一つだぞ。
The apple doesn't fall far from the tree, huh?
そうか。
I stare at her face, filled with pride.
恥ずかしいからあんまり言わないで。
She turns away with her face beat red. How adorable. This whole conversation fills me with a warm and fuzzy sense of nostalgia. As it continues until she leaves a little while later, covering everything from the times we spent together in the past, and the fun times we were looking forward to up ahead. After sending Nanoa off, I start checking out the dorm rooms with Masa. We both have to pick up one for ourselves.
ここは物置だったのかな。
It's too dark to get a clear look, but I can tell the room's full of stuff.
ちょっと他の部屋を見てくるよ。
We split up and go around checking the vacant rooms.
ダメだ。どの部屋も似たり寄ったりだな。
Where are we gonna put the items that are put there then? I don't really see a shed here.
アキ姉は空き部屋だって言ってたけどな。引っ越しの時に家具を置いていったのかな。
いや、違うな。
It might be her stuff. Masa shakes his head and opens the door to a nearby room.
これってどう見ても引っ越したんじゃなくて夜逃げしたって感じだよな。
Oh, it looks like this? Interesting. It doesn't look like a storeroom. It actually does look like a room. Yeah, it's abandoned. If there's no one here, but it's clear that someone used to live here. They even still hung up their jacket. On the desk inside is an open magazine. Its pinups covered in a layer of dust.
考えてみれば変だよな。寮に女子生徒が一人っきりなんて。
And Nanoha had only come here to check the place out in advance. So right now, Aki's the only resident here. Masa suddenly runs out of the room.
おい、マサ？
I follow him out into the hallway. And I find him standing frozen at the door to the next room. I walk toward him, peek inside, and come to a standstill myself. I guess this must be Aki's room.
こんな設備、個人で所有してるやつなんか見たことないぜ。
小野仙台の最高級品だよな。このコンソールってば。
We entered the room with our hearts in our mouths. It's a machine room filled with the brim with top-class equipment. Dim and gloomy, it reeks of danger. There's definitely something fishy here. As proof, there are EMP spoofers installed on everything, even the console.
証拠隠滅用の仕掛けか。なあ、この部屋の主は一体何をしてたと思う？
Isn't this Aki's room?
いたずら半分のハッキングどころじゃないな。これって多分。
I'm about to use my neurojack, but Masa immediately stops me by grabbing my arm.
やめとけ。この調子じゃどんなアイスが仕組んであるかわからないぞ。
What the heck is ice? Come on, tell me what that is. One thing that I really like in Tokyo Necro is that when they have a term, you can actually click on it and it will tell you what the hell that is. This game, I guess, is not as advanced as that one yet. But when did Steins Gate come out? Maybe it just depends on the developers or the publisher or what type of company that they are. Because I know Steins Gate also has that.
ブラックアイスみたいなひどい罠があるっていうのか。
あってもおかしくないだろ。脳みそをたこ焼きにされたくなかったらコンソールにお邪魔するのはやめとこうぜ。
ああ、しかしこの部屋気になるな。
I guess it's like some sort of security lock. As we're looking around, Masa finds something lying in a corner.
これ軍用のカードリッジじゃないか。
It's a heavy lead-coated cartridge with the letters GU etched on its face. GU? I don't know what GU means in this game, but I did play .hack GU back when I was a kid, and I love that game.
お貸してみろ。
I connect my neurojack to the cartridge. Set up sync. So what is that? Simulacrum, I guess? Immediately, an index pops up, and the text I see takes my breath away.
シュミクラムのインストーラー？
マジかよ。
It's that easy? I disconnect from the cartridge in a hurry, paying no heed to the pain it causes my neck muscles.
飽きね
This reeks of danger. Why was this cartridge just lying around in the room? As much as I don't want to think about it, the sight of our seniors getting arrested flashes in front of my eyes.
なあ、こう。なんか、やばくね？
It is.
え。いや、考えすぎだよ。ここはきっと単なるラボで。
単なるラボになんで証拠隠滅の用意がしてあるんだよ。
こう、次のご飯は？
Right then, Aki's voice drifts in from the hallway. Masa is surprisingly not the idiotic friend that I thought he was gonna be. He's actually a lot smarter. So that's good. I kinda don't really like the idiotic friend trope, to be honest. Because most of the time they actually are just there to be not sexual relief, comedic relief. I shoved the cartridge into my pocket and jumped out into the hallway. Why not just confront her about this? Not long after that, Aki shows up.
こう？
あ、なんだい、飽きね。
その部屋に入った。
While I struggle to figure out how to respond, Masa opens his mouth, his voice full of cheer.
いえ、ちょうど今入ろうとしていたんですけど、何かまずかったっすかね。
そこ、私の部屋。勝手に入っちゃダメ。
Maybe if you don't want people entering without permission, you should have put a lock on it. There's no sign of her usual laid-back attitude, and her eyes have a cold, sharp look to them. You're scaring me, Aki.
もし入ったら、
もし入ったら、
ロケットパンチ。
わかりました。
Why not just confront her about it? I guess we didn't want to have anything to do with it, but we still took the simulacrum, right? After that, we clean up the living room, go shopping and make dinner, and night falls before we finish.
なんて幸福。昼も晩もごちそう。
I feel like if we really did not want to have anything to do with that, we would have left the simulacrum installer cartridge in the room again, but I think we took it. But I guess we'll see.
まあ、昼間は菜の葉の作ったごちそうだったけど、これってレトルト食品を温めただけ。
Hey, Japanese microwave dinner isn't so bad.
大事なのは心。
心を込めてお湯を沸かしましたから。
Sure. That's like me back when I could only boil water to make instant noodles. Masa's something else, really. He's being as high-spirited as always. Almost like we never saw what was in that room. But I just can't stop thinking about it. What the heck is Aki doing in that lab?
こう、食欲ない？
いや、そんなことないよ。
I take a bite, but I'm so distracted that I can't even tell how it tastes. Screw it. I'll make small talk and get the truth out of her.
ねえ、飽きねえ。今は一体何をしているの？
学生。
そうじゃなくて、副業とかアルバイトとか。
おばさまの会社の手伝い。こうも知っているはず。
他に何かやってない？
他って？
例えば変なところにハッキング仕掛けたりとか。
Okay, he's actually gunning for it. That's good. I kind of don't understand why he was trying to keep it a secret that we didn't go into that room anyway. Crap, was that too direct? She's all serious now.
あはは、アキ姉がそんな子供っぽいことしないよね。
どうしてそんなこと気にす。
Oh, sorry about that.
それは。
You probably already know why, Aki. What now? I can't exactly say we saw the lab. I mean, of course we can. She probably deduced we already went inside anyway.
いや、 知ってるかもしれませんけど、俺たちの前の寮、先輩たちのハックで壊滅しちゃいまして。
I don't understand why they're covering this up. Masa to the rescue.
寮のやつ心配してるんですよ。ほら、アキさんも相当のホットドガーなんですって。
What the heck's a hot dogger? What? What are these terms? Hot dogger?
むしろ心配してるのは私。
Aki stops eating and gives me a piercing stare.
こうはイリーガルに使ってないね。
My heart nearly jumps out of my mouth. The cartridge in my pocket now feels a million times heavier. There we go. See? We actually took the cartridge.
大丈夫。こいつバカですけど、根は真面目ですから。
Masa immediately barges into the conversation, smacking me on the shoulder in the process.
こうはバカじゃない。
いや、そういう意味じゃなくてですね。バカ正直というか、バカルディというか。ナコ、お前もなんか言え。
Huh? I don't get it. I guess that was a play on words that was lost in translation. I try to laugh it all off, but the way Aki's looking at me hurts. The moment I realize I've got to be straight with her, she suddenly puts her chopsticks down.
そう。こうは正義の味方だったね。
Are we gonna be playing as like Shiro from Fate Stay Night? I personally think that it's okay to be Shiro, even though a lot of people seem to hate him. But I guess we'll see. The reason why I hate Shiro is, you know, he doesn't really have a sense of self himself. If you guys play Fate Stay Night, you'd know that his ideals are borrowed ideals from someone else and not necessarily himself. So he's kind of like living his life not for himself, but for someone else.
安心して。俺はハックになんか興味ないから。
信じる。
The interrogation ends, and I breathe a sigh of relief. Wait, why am I acting all happy? If I care about Aki at all, I should get the truth out of her, even if I end up making her mad.
ねえ、あのさ。
ごめん。また睡魔。
Cutting the conversation short, Aki lies down on the floor. In the end, I couldn't get anything out of her. She's gonna realize we took the cartridge.
可愛かったな。また会いたいもんだ。
なに、またすぐ会えるさ。なんだってナノハもここの寮生になるからな。
なに、マジか。
Masa punches the air in delight. Good grief.
そんなことより、部屋は選んだのか？
なあ、俺は2階の一番奥にした。でも、外見ボロいけど、中身も相当なもんだな、この寮。
I personally wouldn't take a second floor room if there's a vacant room on the first floor. Why take the extra step?
まあそう言うなって。屋根があるだけめっけもんだし、住めば都って言うだろ。
美人のハトコさんもいるしな。
そりゃどうでもいいだろ。
あんな美人に一日先週の思いで待たれてたんじゃ、そりゃ住めば都だわな。
そんなんじゃないってば。俺と秋音はだな。
まあそう照れるな照れるな。ともあれ、今後ともよろしくな、相棒。
He holds out his hand with a smirk, and I try to grab it hard enough to break it.
いてててててて、このバカ力。
ま、口は災いのもとだな。
They sure are taking things with stride here, considering what they saw, you know, in Aki's room. I laid a smack down on Masa with a light smile on my face.
そういえば、お前部屋はどこに住んだよ。
ああ、そういえばまだ決めてなかったな。
俺の隣も空いてるぜ。
You've gotta be kidding me. We'd be able to hear everything from each other's rooms. That'd be awkward as hell if he got a girlfriend.
俺の部屋か。そうだな。
I mean, do you take your girlfriends to your room? I don't know, maybe I'm like one of those old people that don't do that. I noticed that the room next to Aki's has a note stuck on its door. There's some sort of weird abstract art on it. Or well, that's what it looked like to most people at first glance. But those are words and I can read them. Ko's room. Welcome to Kisaragi dorm. Who wrote this? Aki? Who else? I peeled the note off the door and stick it in my pocket.
俺の部屋はここにするよ。
アキさんの隣かよ、こいつめ。
I look away from Masa, who's throwing a melodramatic hissy fit, and look out the window.
さて、部屋の片付けを始めるかな。
I open the door and roll up my sleeves. I'll start by dusting. And that's how my life in Kisaragi dorm began.
さてと、これでどうやら快適に暮らせるかな。
I took a look around my neat and tidy room and smile, proud to myself. This is the actual room that we just got into. And why is that jacket still there? Though all I really did was dust everything and clean it up, the furniture and other stuff were already here. It's not your jacket, Ko.
政府は本日、第2世代ナノマシン、通称アセンブラの開発計画について、認可・推進する方針であると発表しました。
Assemblers.
開発指揮者の栗原直樹博士はこのように語っています。
I turn in the direction of the voice. On the television screen is a news anchor making a report.
第2世代ナノマシンは自己増殖能力と組織改変能力を兼ね備えた新世代のナノマシンであり、統合の手で進められ
I didn't press anything, by the way, guys.
に関連し、研究開発が進められてきたものです。
I didn't press anything. It actually goes to the next dialogue box there by itself. Self-reproduction and structural alteration features. Interesting. Does that mean that if you lose a limb, you can just regrow it back? And what does structural alteration means? Does that mean you can camouflage yourself into someone else? Huh. Interesting. I guess we'll see.
反面、研究に伴う危険性や完成後に兵器として転用されることを危惧する声も大きく、先日も超党派
Yeah,
の
I
議員
didn't press anything
に
there.
開発差し止めを求める声明が発表され、
おいこう、そろそろ行こうぜ。もうすぐ昼になっちまう。
もうそんな時間かよ。
Are we like in college or something? I don't understand why we can actually go to school at noon. I guess we are in college. I look away from the screen once Masa calls me. Scratching my head, I look beside me and see Aki sprawled out on the floor.
あきね、起きて。学園に行かなくていいの？
ええ、今期習得予定単位数ほぼ習得済み。
Or maybe schools in other countries are like this. You don't have like mandatory, you know, mandatory absence? Is that what you call it? She replies to me without even bothering to open her eyes and then promptly goes back to sleep. Got your credits or not, I don't know if not showing up to school at all is such a good idea.
仕方がない。行こうぜ。
I leave Aki behind and head to school with Masa. I mean, it's an efficient way of living, that's for sure. If she doesn't really want to talk to her friends or whatever, she's not there to make friends, right? Just like yesterday, the field beside the path to school is filled with girls running around after a ball.
そっちそっち。ほら、もやもやしてない。
They really need to wear some pants.
あれ、昨日の子だよな。
ああ、そうだな。
マサ、お前単位足りてるか？
聞かなくてもわかるだろ。同じ授業科目を一緒に受けてるんだから。
That means he's got some room to work with. We stop walking and watch the girls on the field.
癒される癒される。可愛い女の子って人類の宝だよな。
I personally wouldn't care if I'm watching like a cute girl doing some sort of sports, unless it's a sports I'm into.
今日も同感。
I mean, there are cute girls everywhere, guys. I don't necessarily care about cute girls all that much. I'm more into what I'm into, you know? Masa seriously ogling the girls.
しかし、如月寮、何があったんだろ
俺たちの前の寮と同じなんじゃね？
うな。ま、そうか。学生のやることは一緒ってことかね。
But Aki's room, I don't believe it for a second. But if she is doing anything shady, she might end up dragging Masa into it as well.
まあ、やばいことには関わり合いにならない方がいいとは思う。
I mean, I already got that cartridge.
まあ、そうだよな。
I don't know what was running into Ko's head, the fact that he was taking that cartridge and not just putting it back. It's not as if Aki's not gonna notice it.
とは思う。 お前の大事なハトコさんだろ。もっと信用してやれよ。
He gives me a smile and a pat on the shoulder. Looks like my partner can see right through me.
そうだな。ま、アキさん以外誰も住人がいないのはちょっとびっくりだったけどさ。でも先輩寮生があんな美人なら大歓迎だよな。アキさんだってお前と住めて嬉しそうだったしな。
Man, he's actually trying to cheer me up. What a nice guy.
そう見えたのか？
ああ、違うのか？
いや、多分それで正解。さすがだよ、マサ。
It's extremely hard to tell what's going through Aki's mind from her facial expressions. It even took me ages before I could guess with any real accuracy. His perceptiveness might be the reason it's so easy for him to befriend girls. Don't ask me why he can't get any further, though.
で、結局これってあれか？
ああ、多分間違いない。
Masa smacks my pocket, making the thing inside shake. I ended up bringing it with me.
一応中身を調べておくか。単なる型落ちの流出品って可能性もあるんだし。
I sit down on the grass by the path and connect my neurojack to the cartridge.
機種はなんだ？ヘルコアラカイか？ヘルキャットか？まさかアシュラとかカーリーじゃないだろうな。
I'm guessing those are the newest models?
カスタマイズされてるみたいだ。すごいな。元がなんだかわからないや。
I can't see a brand name or programmer signature anywhere. There's just a code name at the very bottom of the index.
シャドウウルフ？カゲロウとの語呂合わせか？
聞いたこともないタイプだな。
I wonder if you can actually just make this on your own. You know, like your own customized simulacrum. Maybe, I guess, if you're a hacker? I don't know. I tried to access the data on the cartridge in a bid to learn more. In a bid? In a bid? That's weird. Is that really how you should be using that word?
ダメだ。ガチガチにガードがかけられてる。ここから先、中身はインストールしなきゃチェックできなさそうだけど。
What now? So you just need to install it. Why isn't there an encryption to not install this thing? How can it be so easy to install?
そうだな。見なかったふりでそっと戻しておくのが賢いんだろうけど、返す前に一度だけ試してもバチは当たらないよな。
オーケー。後でアンインストールしちゃえば問題ないもんな。
We've dreamt about piloting simulacrums for years. There's no telling if we'll ever get another golden opportunity like this. I triggered the installer and the cartridge through my neurojack.
ブレインチップへのシュミクラムのインストールを準備します。
The OS in the cartridge comes to life and speaks to me in a mechanical voice.
警告。このソフトウェアは正規の機関による認証を受けていません。また、このソフトの使用にあたり、
了承了承。
Is this what it's like downloading and installing a virus? The installation finishes in a flash, and I'm left a bit dumbfounded by how abrupt it all was.
どうだ？何か異常は？
いや、今のところは何も。
よし。じゃあ次は俺が。
So you can really just use a single installer on everyone? Is there no maximum downloads or something, or maximum installs? Interesting. Masa instantly yanks the cable from my neck, plugs it into his, and freezes for a few seconds.
なあ、こう。
おお、なんだ相棒。
これで俺たちもパイロットなんだよな。
ああ。
本当にこれでインストールされたんだろうな。なんか感慨深いぜ。
Can you really be overcome with emotion if it's something that you don't achieve yourself? If it's something you just get from the ground?
じゃあ、早速。
ああ、善は急げってな。
We lie down on the grass and close our eyes. Our minds instantly travel to the digital world. We find ourselves standing on virtual ground the very next moment.
こんな場所があるんだな。
青春のシュミクラム用空間だよな。来るのは初めてだぜ。
よし、誰もいないみたいだし、早速追っ始めるか。
Masa and I nod to each other, then send the activation command to our brain chips.
フォーマット開始。
One by one, the constructors are reset to defaults. Quantum bits come together to form a three-shaped class hierarchy.
A9 神経節接続 A9 神経節同調 A10 神経節接続
It's a bizarre feeling, one I've never felt before. My bones, muscles, and skin take on a cold, robotic form.
フォーマット終了ラン
I notice that my body is now covered in metal, and my heartbeat has been replaced by a racing electronic pulse. Why is yours different?
おい、大丈夫か？
We use the same installer. Why is yours different?
ああ。
I see a simulacrum of a different color standing where Masa was mere moments ago. Yeah, even the movement is actually different. That's not the same one I installed. What the heck? This metal machine moves as smoothly as my own body would. So this is how piloting a simulacrum feels. And how did we just access this without going to a console? I guess when you're... it's really weirding me out, guys. I know this is probably not something that most people talk about or think about. But how do they actually access this area? Can they just instantly do it once they have simulacrums? Is that how it works? Huh. I don't know. What's with the need for us to be in the same area, though, back when we were in that bombing area with the mercenaries? Why were we, like, underground? Am I thinking too deeply? Is this something that the game is not going to explain? We'll see. We run around in sheer delight, remaining face to face as we travel in circles.
起動確認並走システムイニシャライズスタート
おい、なんか勝手にタスクが起動してるぞ。
The moment I yell that out, a dialogue is displayed in front of my eyes. It contains a list of pompously named lethal weapons.
おい、マサ、なんかやばいぞこれ。
いいから、毒を食らえよ、皿までずっぽし。
And then, a gun of sorts materializes in my hands. It's a 30mm handgun, the likes of which I've only ever seen in arms catalogs.
これ、本物なのか。
うわだ。
Why did you attack him? What? What are you doing?
気をつけろよ。俺が蜂の巣になるところだったじゃないか。
I mean, we probably have a limiter in this one. Maybe the full dive thing was the reason why we needed to be in that place together with the other mercenaries. You know, the thing without the limiter thing. I guess we'll see.
すまん。でもこれ、間違いなく本物だ。ああ、ここ、リミッターあり空間だったよな。
ああ、だから弾を食らっても死にはしない。
記念に模擬戦闘でもしてみるか。
ああ、もちろんだ。待ちに待った童貞喪失の記念日だからな。
Okay, so simulacrums are always used with weapons in mind. Alright. So that clears up one of the questions I had, whether or not this custom simulacrum was the only one that had weapons. Masa and I nod to each other, do a backstep to put some distance between us and...
オープンコンバット
Are we actually gonna fight right now? No. Yeah, I actually thought I was gonna have full control there, but no. I didn't have full control. That's all the memories I got? Okay. Actually, I thought the flashback arc was gonna be a bit longer, but that's all I got? I barely got anything from that. That was probably like a day. As my eyes get used to the light, a dreary ceiling and a girl wearing a lab coat over a dress come into view.
おかえり、注意。
This is Noise Clinic.
いい夢を見ていたようだな。
So all that stuff was my own memories. I was having a flashback, huh? Who won that first battle between Masa and me? I try to remember, but I can't. A pang of sadness takes hold of my heart. I can't believe years have passed since that sunny day.
いつ頃の夢を見ていたのかね。
学園生の頃、1年生の春休みに入った頃です。
やはりそんなに古くはないか。現在に近い生活史ほど失われやすいが、失った記憶はたかだか数年分といったレベルだな。
I think that's still pretty important though. So we might have missed maybe about 3 to 4 years of our memories.
たかだか数年か。
10代の数年、20代の数年、30代の数年は皆違う。おそらく君自身が感じるほど遠い昔じゃないはずだ。
What has happened to the world since then? Are Masa and Aki still doing okay?
数日間は頻繁に記憶疎行が起こるはずだ。とにかく今は休みたまえ。脳細胞はデリケートなバイオマシンだからな。
I guess that's gonna be how we get our memories throughout the whole game. So we're gonna have those episodes from time to time in a couple of chapters. Saying no more, Noi leaves the room.
お疲れ様です、コウさん。
ああ、レイン。寝ていただけなのになんか妙に疲れたよ。
そのまま休んでください。今日はここに泊まっていけとのことですから。
She gives me her usual somewhat businesslike smile, but it has a tinge of wariness right now.
ひょっとしてずっとそこにいてくれたのか？
ええ、特に用事もありませんでしたので。
A blunt reply, but she then covers me up to my shoulders in a blanket.
ありがとう、レイン。
しかし、忘れないでください。我々は油断することが許されない立場なのですから。
わかってるよ。思い出にふけっている場合じゃない。
Yeah, that memory barely covers what the hell we've actually been doing.
そう。理性じゃわかっちゃいるんだけどな。
I think that memory is mostly to introduce characters like Aki and Nanoha and Masa. And what else? I think that's basically it. There is a tiny bit of the world building being explained, but very minor. The events I only experienced a few minutes ago are several years old in reality. I can't go back to those times anymore. I understand in my head that a lot of time has passed, but my heart refuses to come to terms with it. I want to go back to Kisaragi dorm. Even as that thought fills my head, my eyelids grow steadily heavier,
おやすみなさい、コウさん。
and my mind dives into the dream world, this time for real. So is that chapter 2? Yeah, that's chapter 2. There's barely any gameplay in that one. Only the tutorial fight after we went to the arena. Hey, wait, whoa, 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 whoa. What did that say? Rain route? Whoa, 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 whoa. What did that say? Yeah, rain route already? I guess this actually makes me go into the rain route, this one right here. Holy shit, one choice decides my route? Well, that's convenient for me, I guess, but god damn, that's fast. As soon as the battle ends, my entire body starts creaking from the pain of all the strikes and gunshots I took. I guess when we run out, or when we refuse to and keep pressing on Rain, we might have run out on her and we didn't go to the clinic. Okay, I kind of like this because it feels like if we go to a different route, a lot of the scenes are going to be very different from each other. I really dislike when a route is just the same thing over and over again, but with slight differences. So maybe an instant route split over here might be very interesting.
しかし話には聞いてたけどひでえなこれ。
ああ、これでもリミッターが緩和してくれてるはずなんだけどな。
でもすごかったよな。
ああ、小便ちびるかと思ったぜ。
A complex kind of fatigue that is a mix of comfort and exhaustion comes over us, and we both collapse to the ground.
なあ、リミッターなしなら今ので俺たちのどちらかが死んだのか。
How do you get to the limiter off? Is it really that simple as like going online and then saying no limiter? Is it really like that?
だろうな。あれはゲームじゃないからな。
本当に殺し合いをしてるんだな。ネットで戦争を。
What for? What's the point of this anywhere?
そうだな。
I've dreamt of piloting a simulacrum forever, and actually doing it filled me with a sense of power that I could easily get hooked on. That's exactly why I find it all a bit scary, because I now fully realize that these are killing machines.
やっぱりこれ返した方がいいのかな。
そうかもな。
Why would this be even your, like, dream? If you know that people actually use simulacrums to kill them, you know, kill other people. I'm so confused about this whole situation, guys. Not gonna lie. Still on the ground, we let the logout process take over our minds. That was how Masa and I finally lost our simulacrum virginities. Calling it a simulacrum virginity is also kind of weird. In the end, we skip school and go straight back to the dorm.
ただいま。
There's no response.
アキさんまだ寝てんのかな。
まっとうに考えれば学園に行ったってところなんだろうけど。
That's when I noticed a pair of black leather shoes by the entrance. They're quite big and probably belong to a man.
アキさんの靴じゃないよな。
Probably that other guy we saw that pointed us to this dorm.
来客かな。それとも誰か寮の住人が戻って。
Masa and I exchanged glances before I even finished. If we go by what Aki said, nobody else was living here. Have the authorities come for us? My palms get covered in sweat.
様子を伺ってみるとするが。
We quietly take off our shoes and tiptoe down the hallway. And we find a mysterious visitor in one of the rooms. It's a 30-something Asian man. He's wearing a simple suit and glasses and overall looks really plain. Really? It's a different one? He's sitting cross-legged on the floor with his eyes closed in a peaceful expression, like he's meditating or something. He doesn't have a sprite. You could hear a pin drop into silence. It's like the air has frozen over and time has come to a standstill around the guy. Overawed by this, Masa and I are unable to talk to him. Oh, there we go. Okay, it is him. He slowly opens his eyes and turns toward us.
すまない。誰もいなかったので勝手に上がらせてもらったよ。
His smile blows away the tension in the air, and a sigh escapes both of us.
あなたはこの前の。
私は栗原直樹。また会ったね。
Huh. Didn't we just hear this guy's name in the TV? Right? Saying that, he sends us his virtual card.
青州大学研究所の学者さんだったんですか。
I do think we just heard a Naoki somewhere. Come to think of it, he does give off some scholarly vibes. He looks like a plain guy at first, but his eyes betray his poise and intelligence. Wait, what was that I heard on TV this morning? Did they say he was the head of the assembler project, that huge GU undertaking? Yeah, see?
今度君たちの学園でも講義をすることになってね。
懐かしの寮に顔を出してみたわけですか。
そんなところだ。よかったら君たちも名前を聞かせてくれ。
He asks us with a smile. We introduce ourselves in order.
こうくんはアキくんの登園か。彼女は元気にしているかね。
ええ、相変わらずだと思うんですけど。
変わっていないなら何よりだ。
He looks around the room with a fond look in his eyes. Looking at that, I realize why he was in this room.
もしかしてこの部屋はあなたの部屋だったんですか。
昔はね。さらに言えばこの部屋の家具は初代の寮生から代々受け継がれてきたものだ。
What about that jacket? Why is that there? It probably doesn't even fit me. Upon taking a closer look, I noticed that it's all made of wood. The wear and tear almost seems to suit them, proving that they're not imitations.
初代から代々ってひょっとしてこの寮ってそれなりに由緒正しかったりするとか。
そこまで大行なものではないが、学園の創立当時から残っている数少ない寮の一つではあるね。第二世代電脳化が人類の未来を切り開く。そう信じた若者が戦後の混乱期に集い。
It feels strange to think that this room was once home to a man whose name now makes headlines. I'm not sure I can follow in the footsteps of someone like that.
そういえばテレビで見ました。アセンブラの開発をしていらっしゃるんですね。
すみません。そのアセンブラって何です？俺勉強不足で。
そうだな。簡単に言うと、環境を汚染している物質などを選択的に有用な物質に書き換えることができるナノマシンの集合体といったところかな。
That doesn't sound like what we heard on TV. Well, I guess that's probably the material thing, the second part, other than the self-regulation thing or self-reproduction thing. Okay, it's to change things into different things. Okay.
例えばだが、ダイオキシンに汚染された土壌を有機肥料に満ちた肥沃な土壌にしたり、汚染された水源を清水にしたりもできるはずだ。
Isn't that a bit too overpowered though?
そりゃまさに夢の技術ですね。
まあ、アセンブラは大げさではなく、人類の希望だと思っているよ。
Yeah, we still don't have any idea about the state of the world too. I mean, they said that wood was antique, right? That means that it would cost a fortune. Does that mean that everything is synthetic? Is a lot of the nature in this world fake? Kurihara begins to speak passionately but stops himself and scratches his head with a wry smile.
ああ、よかったら座ってくれないか。いろいろと話を聞かせてくれると嬉しい。
あ、はい。
Masa and I hurriedly kneel down on the floor. And when I do, the cartridge in my pocket falls out. Oh, you fucking idiot. I try to... He's fast! I try to pick it up quickly, but Kurihara gets his hand to it first.
これは
His expression goes from jovial to serious in an instant. He may have figured out what's on the cartridge just by seeing the GU logo. As we gulp in fear, he takes out a neurojack and plugs it into the cartridge.
すでにインストールしてしまったようだな。
すみません。
I end up apologizing before my brain can even catch up to what's going on, and Kurihara stares at us with a stern look.
これをどこで手に入れたのかね。
I probably shouldn't mention Aki here. I still myself and look Kurihara right in the eye.
拾ったって言っても信じてくれませんか？
He doesn't say anything. He just continues to look me in the eye with an unwavering gaze. So this guy might not be necessarily working with Aki? Maybe Aki actually got this from his workplace by swindling it? I don't know. And I stare back at him without flinching. My back does break out in a cold sweat though.
信じよ
With a surprising reply, he places the cartridge in front of me.
栗原さん？
う。君たち、ダイブの経験、いや、趣味クラブの経験は？
1回だけです。それもさっき初体験を済ませたばかりで。
誰かの指導のもとでかね。
When I silently shake my head, he lets out a big sigh.
無謀だな。趣味クラブは危険なツールだと理解しているのかね。
We have no words. Masai and I can only hang our heads in shame. That's when a large pair of hands pats us both on the shoulder.
ついてきたまえ。
どこへですか？
無論、ネットだ。
With a smile on his face, Kurihara holds out a pair of neurojacks for us. So these neurojacks, is this how we go into the internet? Is that really it? We just use something and then chuck our, port on our necks to go to the internet? It doesn't even connect to anything? It's like a portable device? How does this neurojack work? This is one of the things that I like to think about, guys, because sometimes games, when they do this, sometimes it doesn't make sense. So I like questioning these things. I like challenging them. We're floating in the ether sea. Kurihara is standing in front of us, gazing at the glittering grit that's all around us.
こう言われるままに来ちゃったけど大丈夫かな？
わからないけど、学者さんなら無茶もしないだろうし。
While we're whispering to each other, Kurihara turns around to face us.
さて、始めるとするか。
始めるって、一体何を？
あの寮に住むのなら、君たちも私の後輩だからな。私がレクチャーしてやろう。私がしてもらったように。
So are everyone that lived in that dorm pilots of simulacrums? I mean, I don't know how long the dorms has been going on for. Huh.
レクチャーですか。
危険だと解いても諦めないだろう。ならば最低限守るべきルールを誰かが教えねばならないからな。
What a surprisingly good person.
それって俺たちに趣味クラムの手ほどきをしてくれるんですか？
What's his game though? What does he gain from doing this? I don't trust them 100%.
そうだな。いいだろう。私もそれなりに教えてやれる自信がある。無論君たちが嫌と言うなら別だが。
Why wouldn't we? This is a godsend.
いいんですか？本当に。
よろしくお願いします、コーチ。
We bowed deeply to him, and he responds with a nod.
昔は新入生にこんなイニシエーションをしたものだ。ようこそネットへ。我らセカンドにとっての第2の故郷へ。
After that, we receive an arena lecture from our mentor. Okay, his simulacrum looks very deadly. That's like fully equipped. What the fuck? He's like a samurai with lots of missiles all over his body. I don't know.
師匠、こうですか？
おいおい、師匠は勘弁してくれたまえ。
じゃあ先生、いや博士って呼んだ方がいいんですかね？
先生で十分だよ。学園で君たちに直接講義をする機会もあるかもしれないしね。
なら先生、質問。どうしても攻撃がつながらないんですけど。
むやみに攻撃を連打しても無駄だ。肝心なのはリズムとタイミングだよ。
理屈じゃ分かっているんですが。
理屈で考えようとしているからだ。取るべき行動をあらかじめ理解すれば考える必要はない。慣れれば。そら。
Okay, can I actually combo like that? Can I get those equipments that you got, Naoki?
すげえ神業だ。
なに、私なんぞまだまだだ。筋金入りのホットドガーならひとたび敵を打ち上げればそいつが落ちるまでにその機体を破壊し尽くしているだろう。
ホットドガーか。道のりは随分遠そうですね。
What is a hot dogger?
そうでもないさ。初日からそれだけ動ければ大したものだ。普通なら初日は歩行訓練で潰れてしまう。正直君たちのセンスには感心しているよ。
そんな大げさっすよ。
Okay, there's actually a grinder outside right now, and I'm gonna take a look and listen to the recording of this episode and see if you guys can hear the grinder. Like, I've mentioned this in a lot of my other playthroughs, but once that grinder is happening, on the other microphone, you can hear it in my voice, and it really is painful. But if there's actually no grinder noise in this recording session, then I'm gonna say that I don't even mind the grinder being used by my neighbor anymore. All of this is making me blush somehow. While the two of us bashfully scratch our heads, he watches us warmly and nods.
教えがいがある生徒とはいいものだ。私で教えられることなら何でも教えよう。
じゃあ先生、質問。なんでわざわざワイヤードでダイブしたんですか？
趣味クラム乗りの基本だよ。リミッター付きエリアならともかく、リミッターオフエリアは危険に満ちているからな。
Why do we go out of our way to dive using a wired connection? Huh. So basically, when we want to go to a simulacrum, we always go with a wired connection. Interesting. I guess those neuro jacks, I guess it's kind of like a LAN cable, right? But unlike a LAN cable, you don't really need to connect it to a modem or a router. There's also a portable, like, Wi-Fi thing, I guess, that you can also use. You know, a mobile hotspot. That's probably the only thing I can kind of think about that's similar to it.
ディスコネクト、フラットライン、それに過剰なフィードバックですか？
ああ、付け加えればワイヤードの方が第三者がアボートさせやすい。
逆を言うと、 アボートしなければ帰れないような事態も起こりうると。
シュミクラムをまとえばネットに深入りすることになる。備えよ常に。それを忘れると簡単に死ぬ。
確かにたまに死んでるやついるもんな。いたずら気分で深みに潜って。
でもどうして危険だと言いつつシュミクラムのことを教えてくれるんです？
Yeah, talk about a peaceful life, Ko. So your life is not really peaceful for, because you're in your world. Even a couple of years back, there are already people that are fighting with simulacrums, and even people dumb enough to use no limiters when they're just traversing.
だが正しい知識を持てばそれは様々な役に立つ。
おい。
I turn around upon hearing a hoarse voice and find a bunch of old-fashioned simulacrums standing there.
貴様、栗原直樹だな。
How are you here?
学園の人間ではないようだね。
Yeah,
不法侵入者が何の用かな？
this is the school's network. This is the school's area.
このエイリアニストめ。
お前らいきなり何すんだよ。
我々は東アジア反人工知性人類救済戦線暁の虎部隊のものである。
つまり反 AI 主義の方がね。待ちたまえ。私は確かに心情的には AI 派かもしれんが特定の政治組織には加盟していない。
貴様が化け物の倉庫であることに違いはない。
先生
Are we gonna kill them?
こ危ない。
I mean, we have a limiter here.
若造といえどエイリアニストとして変更した教育を植え付けられた以上はもはや強制不可能なり。
やめたまえ。この子たちは無関係だ。
何なんですかこいつら。
Huh. Area without limiters. I'm trying to understand how that works. If these guys are diving without a limiter themselves, so I'm trying to think. Who sets the limiter? Is it these guys or is it the system administration for the area?
どうやら
I don't know.
狂信的な反 AI 主義者らしいな。
どうして AI 嫌いがいちいちネットに潜ってくるんだよ。
寄生虫を駆除するためには意に沿わずとも没入する必要があるのだ。
No, you don't. You can just kill them in real life.
まともに言葉を通わせることは無理なようだな。
俺
私が3人受け持つ。君たちのノルマは1機ずつ。できるな。
Sure.
できるなって先生。
ちょうどいい腕ならしだ。幸いここならば誰も死なない。
His eyes are filled with fighting spirit. He dashes in and cuts down an enemy in a flash.
どうした？威勢がいいのは口だけか？
何をしている。ここで。
こうどうする？
Yeah, if these guys are anti-AI, they gotta suck at using simulacrums. What would they actually be attacking him in an area where he's clearly in an advantageous position? I feel like these anti-AI advocates are retarded and dumb. But they make a good punching bag, I suppose. And our first tutorial fight for the chapter.
言われても
くたばれこの天皇野郎。待て、来たこいつら。マサ。
お前の相手は私だ。汚らわしいエイリアニストめ。
A simulacrum berates and charges at me, and that brings back home some horrible memories from the depths of my mind.
やーい、犬の息子。お前の父ちゃん人殺しなんだろ。お前みたいなのエイリアン主義者って言うんだ。お前もエイリアンなんだろ。
What? Are you serious? Yeah, my dad's a murderer, but I guess he was already using AI even back then, or simulacrums even back then.
お前ら余計なことを思い出させやがって。
I grind my teeth and clench my fists. right, let me see if the button is... What? I wanted to have a battle there, bro! They hyped me up for nothing, bro.
偉そうな態度の割には大したことのない連中だったな。
I was trying to use my controller to find out if I was using the right buttons for the attacks. Come on, man. I can't believe they did that.
彼らが弱かったのではない。君たちが強かったのだ。セカンドである時点でネットでの戦闘力に差が生じるものだ。例えるなら両生類とて水から陸に上がることはできる。しかし陸に適応した爬虫類にはかなわない。
そういうもんなんですか。
いずれネットで子供が生まれ育つ時代が来れば、我らはきっとその者たちには勝てないだろう。
Yeah, that was what I was talking about too in the first episode, about how the reason why we were being limited with our controls is because we know ourselves as being human, and we have to, like, our heart needs to beat, and also we need to, like, breathe to calm ourselves down. But what if, when you're born, you already were inside of the internet? Like, what if your body is basically already a simulacrum when you first gain conscience? What happens when you're like that?
そんな時代が来るんですかね。
It might.
私はそう信じている。
そうですか。しかしあいつらなんで先生を襲ってきたんでしょうか。
私も一応 AFA の末端会員だからな。
What is AFA?
最近エッジ関連の技術者や科学者が襲われる事件が頻発している。おそらくはそれも彼らの仕業だろう。
それで先生を狙ったのか。
年々この手の輩が増えている。困ったものだ。今日はもう戻るとしようか。離脱用意を。
Alright, I think after this logout sequence, we're gonna call it an episode. Okay, I'm gonna call this an episode right here. We're not gonna do an end then. I feel like even though I'm doing like 2-hour episodes for this game in particular, it doesn't feel like it's very slow, since I don't really voice act the main character. Sure, I'm gonna be voice acting the narration and whatnot, but I do feel like I'm voice acting those pretty quickly, right? So I don't actually think that the 2-hour mark for this game in particular is that bad. But yeah, it's kind of interesting. The flashback arc was a bit excessive and a bit long, and it's still going right now. But I guess we're gonna need to find out about what happened before we progress through the story anyway. I don't know what's the best case scenario for going through the routes in this game, but I got to the rain route, so it is what it is. I'm gonna have to stick with my decision. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed the episode. Give this video a like if you guys like it. Sub if you guys haven't. Patreon will be getting these episodes early access along with everything uncensored when I need to uncensor them. YouTube members also will be getting these early access, but nothing uncensored once we do get to those. And also for people on YouTube that aren't on Patreon just yet, feel free to become a free member, because that's going to be where I put first episode previews of future playthroughs. But yeah, the first episode for this game is actually out for preview on Patreon. If you guys become a free member, just go to the collections and you'll have a list of all the like episode ones of all of the playthroughs that I've been uploading. But yeah, I'll see you guys on the next one, which is just tomorrow. See ya.